Good evening, good evening. It says I'm live, so I checked my pulse and it's there, but I don't believe it. I don't think I'm alive. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. I, uh, I got four different articles up. Two of them essentially have to do with the same thing. Uh, might not be a super long night tonight. I feel like hell. I do. The stupid damn weather just back and forth. And it's not like it's getting super cold and super warm or anything like that, but it's just those little changes. And I think it's when like cold fronts come through that it just smacks the hell out of my body. So, anyway, let me work through tonight and, we'll start off the week like normal. We suck. Anyway, oh, wait a minute here. I forgot to push a button. You guys got to see a black. See, it's my Monday, so we'll just blame it on that. Anyway, Hetty H. Yeah, I just realized that. Like I was like, oh hell. Oh man. So anyway, I've got a few different topics to talk about. Obviously, the title's one of them. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the tariffs, and there's a lot of fear going around about prices raising and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I do expect to see some of that, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as what a lot of people expect, and I will explain why. And then we're going to talk about, I guess, FBI employees being questioned about January 6th and their involvement with it. So, crazy, crazy, crazy. But this first one is a doozy. You hope diesel truck prices skyrocket? By the way, I don't know if you got my text back, but you probably have to set whatever server or whatever computer you have your server on. You probably have to go into your router settings and set that as what they DMZ, and it's kind of the same thing as what you would think militarily, demilitarized zone. Setting DMZ on a particular IP for a particular computer, and a lot of times you can set it up to where it will automatically identify due to the with the MAC address and stuff like that, that no matter what, if you reboot your router or whatever the case may be, it will automatically recognize that particular device and make sure that that DMZ continues to be set for that. If you're having problems with people being able to connect to you, that's exactly what it is. So like if you put your server up and people can't see it, as an example, that's why. So, anywho, this information coming out about USAID, I call it USAID, U.S. Agency for International Development, is, in my opinion, just mind-blowing. And I wonder how far this is going to go. Look, we all know the coffee, jab, jab thing. We all know that there was something up with that. We've known that for a long time. Now, I guess we can talk a little bit about it, but the involvement is really getting, it seems to me, it's really getting uncovered. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see people starting to get arrested for their involvement in gain-of-function research and the covering up of what was really going on. So I expect to see that. I did see a headline today. I didn't share it out. I didn't think to. I did see a headline today about the head of one of the heads anyway of the Federal Reserve was arrested. And I'm like, whoa. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of heads about to roll. I really do. And I don't think that's just wishful thinking. I really do think there's going to be some monumental changes made. And that's what we need. So anyway, I've got two articles on USAID. The first one, Their website and X account went dark. Apparently, here it says the website gone offline following an executive order by President Donald Trump that pauses most American foreign aid programs for 3 months to reassess overseas spending. The website became inaccessible on Saturday afternoon, displaying a message stating that the server IP address could not be found. Later that day, the agency's X account also disappeared. The outage follows reports that the Trump administration is considering placing USAID under the control of the State Department. Last week, Trump signed an executive order freezing most U.S. foreign aid for 90 days, citing the need for a comprehensive review of how funds are allocated. The order states that billions of taxpayer dollars flow to programs that do not serve American interests and in many cases actively work against them. So, I've been keeping a close eye on all of this stuff, on all these cuts, and I've noticed, man, the level of fear that the left is pushing on all of it is just insane. You had Schmucky Schumer, that he was speaking, talking about the tariffs, and he's holding up a Corona beer and a avocado in his hands, talking about how much more expensive that your Super Bowl beer and guacamole is gonna cost. And first of all, if that's your biggest concern, if you're more concerned about your little football celebration than you are the health of this nation, and I don't mean health as in our physical, I'm talking about the health of the nation as a whole, I got no sympathy for you. Pay the higher damn prices. I don't have any sympathy for you. Look, Trump has said that there will be pain. The American people will feel pain. There is no way around that. What made our country so great and so strong is that, for one, we had a lot of industry here, a lot of manufacturing here, and people made a good wage. People making a little more than minimum wage back in the 60s, 70s could still afford to buy a home, still afford to buy a vehicle. And they could even put back a little bit of money, whether it be for their own endeavors or for college for their kids. And that was people making just a little bit more than minimum wage. Now you got people working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, making a little more than minimum wage, and they can barely make ends meet. So there's certainly a problem here. But one of the things that we have to understand is that we have been living in, I don't know what you want to call it. I really don't know what word to put on it. But we have been living in a world, if you will, to where we've got a lot of cheap stuff at our disposal. Right? Of course, most of it comes from China and other places. But back in the day, that same day that people could make a little more than minimum wage and still afford a house and a car and putting back a little bit of money, they didn't have a television in every damn room of the house. Fact. They didn't have 5 cars in the driveway. Fact. They didn't have Netflix and Amazon Prime and all of these subscription services that they paid for month in and month out. They didn't have cell phone bills. So there's a lot of stuff that we have today that they didn't then. And that's one thing that we need to understand. And I firmly believe that the majority of the pain, if you will, that the American people are going to feel is they're going to have to let go of some of that stuff. They're going to have to let go of buying the new biggest TV every damn year. It's just the way it is. We've got two choices. And before I go into those choices, I'm going to remind folks about something that Bush Sr. said way back when. And even at the age I was, which was teenager, I guess, pretty young, I remember these words. They stuck in my head like they were engraved in stone. Bush Sr. said, in order to better compete in the well, that was the end of the statement. In order to better compete in the global economy. Okay, that was the end of the statement. The only way we can better compete in the global economy is to lower our standard of living. That's it. Because if you've got people in China, in Thailand, and all these other countries that are willing to work for slave labor, then we have to lower ourselves below that. And I don't think that sounds very fun. And so ever since then, ever since Bush Sr. all the way up till now, more and more of our industry has left this country. We have imported a lot more. And we have slowly whittled away what made this country great. And so if we want to get back to that, we want to get back to the golden era, it's going to take sacrifice. That's all there is to it. And the reason why is because the only way that we're going to be able to have those things again is to get paid a decent wage. Well, if there's tariffs on all incoming goods, that raises the prices a little bit. And you've got people making a decent wage here that are manufacturing products. Those products are going to cost more. And so we're going to have to pick and choose a little better about what it is that we do have. We may not be able to have a TV in every single room, 5 cars in the driveway. So, I mean, that is what it is, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. And see, I jumped ahead. I'll get more on the tariff thing and why I don't think it's going to hurt as bad as what a lot of people think it will. There's a reason, an economic reason why for that. So we talked about their website and their X account, and back to the USAID thing. Talked about how they went dark. Musk, and this is the article for the show title, Musk claims USAID funded bioweapon research. Now, this was news to me. I mean, I'd done heard all of the Fauci stuff and the lab in Wuhan and all of that. But this is news to me. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk has accused the U.S. Agency for International Development of financing bioweapon research, including projects that allegedly led to the emergence of COVID-19, branding the agency a criminal organization. Musk's comment came in response to a post from user, whatever that is, Kane Koa the Great, on Sunday, which claimed that USAID had funneled $53 million to EcoHealth Alliance. The post alleged that these funds were used to support gain-of-function research on coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, if I can spit it out, in China, potentially leading to the creation of COVID-19. Did you know USAID, using your tax dollars, funded bioweapons research, including COVID-19, that killed millions of people, Musk wrote. Musk did not elaborate on the allegations, but the post he was responding to further asserted that the CIA's deception regarding COVID-19 origins becomes much clearer when considering USAID's long history of serving as a CIA front organization. I thought that was interesting. He goes on about it being a criminal organization and whatnot. But can you imagine? Oh, I forgot to put it up on the screen, but Can you imagine the heads that are going to roll if they do something about this? It's going to be pretty crazy. And I mean, I'm all for it. I think they do. I think they need to. Because it's ridiculous what's been allowed to go on, and not only that we've paid for. That's the icing on the cake, that we paid for it. Absolutely mind blowing. Next, probably it's going to be a quick night because I don't have a lot more to say on that. I will add to this. I don't have this up either. But I guess Musk more or less got complete control of the Treasury. In other words, he can see anything and everything in the Treasury, and I guess they can make changes and whatnot. And, wow. And I'm pretty sure that is part of what led them to this development. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that gets revealed. A lot of stuff. And I think that that's also going to help in the long run when it comes to us here as far as prices and stuff like that. Because I think you're going to see a lot of taxes either disappear totally or go way, way down. Because if they eliminate trillions of dollars worth of spending, then they don't need all the tax money. And there's a lot of people that aren't going to like that. But it is what it is. And when I say a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that work in government. And so when they start nixing a bunch of these jobs, there's a lot of people that's going to be looking for work. A lot of people that work cushy jobs. Let me tell you something. I have seen a little bit of the inner workings of, like, for instance, public aid. And, man, I'll tell you what. From what I've seen, it seems like a pretty cush job. And, I mean, you're getting paid well. You got damn good benefits packages. And, it really didn't seem like, I don't know, would you say people had to work super hard? I didn't want to give away where or anything like that, but the reason why I've seen the back end of it a little bit is because Jen worked at well, she didn't work for public aid, but she worked in the same office, so I got to see a little bit, and yeah, that my opinion, a lot of it's a joke. It really, truly is. And as things have progressed, especially since then, there was a lot of changes that were being made right as she left there. They were putting in the new phone systems and everything else so that a lot of the individuals, the people, didn't even have to deal with the people calling in because the phone system dealt with it. And a lot of stuff became automated. Now, did they get rid of any employees when they automated stuff? No. Nope. Sure didn't. So, yeah, I do think that there's probably a whole lot of government employees that could probably go bye-bye. Not necessarily in that sector, but there's a lot of stuff going on in government. Anyway, have a sip of coffee. I've got a long-ass AP article about Trump's tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, but I don't feel like reading a damn article. It's the same stuff you've already heard 10 dozen times. And apparently, all of those countries have decided that they're going to lash back at us. We'll see how well that works. Didn't work real well for Colombia. They changed their tune kind of quick. But there's a lot of worry that prices are just going to go through the roof. I think that it's likely you will see prices on things, on not everything, but some things. I think you'll see prices go up. But I do think there's a whole lot of things you won't see a change in prices. And I think for the most part, the prices that do raise aren't going to go stupid. Let's not forget that they played the same damn fear tactic back in 2016, 2017 during Trump's first term. They screamed the same thing. Very same thing. Oh, prices are going to go through the roof. And what happened? Prices went down. They went down. Not necessarily all because of the tariffs. A lot of it was because fuel prices went down and stuff like that. And the cheaper you can ship stuff, the cheaper the product is. Something about tariffs and, oh wow. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I wouldn't know what's up with that, Eddie Hayes. So, who was it? Was it there was somebody that was saying this, and I can't remember who said it, but it's the truth. They said that media often wants to look at everything with a microscope. And when it comes to the economy, you can't do that. You have to step back and you have to look at the big picture. That's very, very true. And I don't think it's as complicated as what they try to tell you it is. But there is certainly some complicated factors to it. But let's say you own a company and you sell products and you're whatever, Chinese company, Mexican company, Canadian company, and you sell products into the U.S. Well, we live in a society to where it's about selling as much as possible, right? A bulk economy, if you will. And so they've got two choices if they have to pay a tariff. They can either eat that or eat as much of it as they can and still move a bunch of product, or they can raise their price and move less product. And it all depends on how the numbers shake out. For each individual company, each individual product, that would have to be figured out. But believe me, if companies can still make an acceptable amount of money on a product and eat the tariff, they will. They absolutely will. Because the whole point to their business is to sell product. So, and that's one of the things that you saw during Trump's first administration. People forget, though. So, again, I'm not saying nothing won't go up. I think some things absolutely will. I don't think that they'll go up catastrophically. Not even close. I think it's a lot of fear-mongering. But in the end, as I was saying earlier, there's a lot of other factors. And yes, U.S. citizens, if we want to make our country strong again, we're going to have to sacrifice. You can't continue to be able to buy a bunch of cheap shit that we don't make and have a prosperous economy. It doesn't work that way. So, I mean, eventually you're going to run out of people to buy shit. And that's essentially what happens. We tried to go to a service economy, is what they tried to do. But you got to have people that have the extra money to pay for the services. What do I mean by services? Everything from McDonald's or any other restaurant to house cleaner, pest control operator, plumber, you name it. Any service that another person provides for you, that's what they were kind of steering this country into being. But it's not a sustainable model. Because again, eventually, you run out of people that have the money to afford those services. So that's where we're at. We were basically sold out. I wouldn't sweat it though. I wouldn't freak out. If you absolutely got to have your tequila or your avocados or whatever, you might want to stock up a little on it. But I don't think it's going to disappear. And I think you're going to see a lot of this stuff lighten up, because I do think these other countries will give in. It only makes sense. I wouldn't doubt it, Hetty Hayes, that AI doing the bookkeeping for the U.S. now. I wouldn't doubt it one bit. Wouldn't doubt it one bit. But yeah, you're going to see these different countries. They're going to fall in line. They're going to do what they can to help out securing the border. They're going to do what they can to help out, and I still don't believe the whole fentanyl thing. I don't. Sorry. I think the majority of fentanyl comes into this country on a damn airplane from China, just like most other products from China, or on a shipping container on a boat. I don't think that necessarily fentanyl is trafficked across the border. I think that's one of those bullshit arguments that they use as a reason why they have to control the border. And don't get me wrong, I agree, they got to control the border. But why lie? Why lie about it? You could probably, I have no doubt, that you could go and find a Chinese company right now and send them money, and probably send fentanyl straight to your door. And I would imagine there's a really damn good chance that nobody would be any wiser. How do I know that? Well, not because I'm into fentanyl. But over a decade ago, there was research chemicals, not like fentanyl or nothing, that I dabbled with. And that's exactly how it shook out. You placed your order, it came in the mail, and it's all. Now, they weren't illegal. You know, fentanyl, that's actually a scheduled drug, you know. What I was buying wasn't illegal. But nonetheless, are they really going to be able to tell the difference between the stuff I was getting and fentanyl? Or some type of opioid powder or whatever? Are they really going to be able to tell the difference? So, and even when I ordered research chems, they would package them in a way you wouldn't know. You wouldn't have any idea. One time I ordered some tablets, and a couple of times, they came in a tin. It looked like a frickin' tin of mints. I mean, that's literally what it looked like, a tin of mints. You wouldn't know any different unless you tested the tablets to see what they were. That's the only way you would know the difference. Wasn't illegal to begin with, so be kind of pointless to do that. I think it comes in on a plane, most of it, right into our country. That's the way it is. That's the way the opium was. What was the name of that movie? Con Air or whatever? That's the way the opium was. The U.S. government is the one that helped do it. It's what it is. The U.S. government is involved in a lot of dark stuff, including a lot of drug trade, weapons trade, Fast and Furious, anyone? And it's always been that way. Not always, but for a really long time. I don't know that it'll ever change. We'll see. I don't know that it'll ever change. Let's see. I do got one more article here. I guess we'll discuss it in Boogie. I am tired. I'm just sore. Today I actually feel like I'm coming down with something. And I haven't been like sick in that kind of sense in a really long time. I mean, I've felt like hell and stuff like that. Now it feels like I'm coming down with something. We have had visitors. We have seen people as of recent, so it's not totally out of the ordinary that could be the case. But it's like landlord, and there was somebody else that came. Oh yeah, an old friend of mine stopped by. Actually, a couple of old friends of mine stopped by. Really nice to see. Really nice to see Jeff. I haven't seen that boy in, gosh, over 30 years, I guess. So that was nice to see him. Anywho, the last article I got here, I reckon I can show you this one. FBI employees questioned about involvement in January 6 cases as Justice Department weighs firings. So, kind of crazy. Thousands of FBI employees who participated in investigations related to the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol are being asked to complete in-depth questionnaires about their involvement in the inquiries as the Trump administration Justice Department weighs disciplinary actions that could result in firings. The questions, which were described to the Associated Press by a person familiar with the matter, asked employees to describe their office and title and to specify their involvement in the January 6 investigations, including whether they participated in search warrants, conducted interviews, and testified at trial. The survey is in keeping with an extraordinary Justice Department directive Friday for the names, titles, and offices of all FBI employees who worked on investigations related to January 6, when pro-Trump rioters who stormed the Capitol triggered a violent and bloody clash with law enforcement in a massive attempt, it's AP, folks, in a massive attempt to block the certification of election results. Is that what they were really trying to do? Or were they just raising hell because they didn't buy the election results? They were really trying to block. I don't think that they were trying to block the certification. I don't. A memo from the acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove or whatever, who defended Trump in his criminal cases before joining the administration, said Justice Department officials would then carry out a review process to determine whether any additional personnel actions are necessary. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. I don't feel like reading it all. But, of course, the left is saying that this is, just Trump going after his political opponents. And that's not the case. When you commit crimes like that, especially against the American people, I mean, you should have to pay the price for it. What they did and how they did it is inexcusable. Are there some individuals that should have been arrested and should have spent a little time behind bars? Absolutely. There were people who broke out windows. There were people that actually got into a physical altercation with law enforcement. Those people should have to pay for that. But the majority, when I say the majority, I mean the large majority of people that went into the Capitol building, it was like a tour. Most of them didn't even go outside of the little stupid red ropes. It was like they were on a tour of the Capitol building. And even police officers were even walking them around. It's mind-blowing to me. And then there was a number of individuals that never even entered the building that wound up arrested. Absolutely crazy. And yes, I think that there needs to be actions taken on that. There is one thing, though, about all of that really does surprise me. I gotta have a sip of coffee. I'm actually pretty shocked that the U.S. Justice Department didn't try to charge them with terrorism. Because if they would have charged them with terrorism, it would have taken their rights away entirely. And I know that they really weren't given their rights to begin with, but they can argue that now. If they were charged with terrorism, they wouldn't be able to argue it at all. Not at all. I'm not big on conspiracy theories. I mean, I like conspiracy theories just like the next guy. But, there's a lot of people that take stuff too far these days. A lot of people that really don't put any research in behind what they say. They just say how they feel. And that isn't a good way to go about things. But I do have to ponder this whole getting Guantanamo Bay set up and ready to accept illegal migrants. Is that all? Are there others aside from the violent illegal migrants that they're going to send to Guantanamo? I have to ask that question. And I think it's a fair question. It's possible we could see some of these individuals that were involved in all these different nefarious things take a little trip down there. And remember, if the Justice Department somehow attaches that terrorism label, oh no, YouTube's gotta throw a fit. I don't care. Why do people mute the word terrorism? Terrorism, 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 terrorism. Come on, get real. It's like saying pew pew or a freedom seed something, whatever. Stop being retarded. The moment you start censoring yourself, whether it's to make sure you earn that dime or just to make sure that, I don't want YouTube to smack my pee-pee. Grow up. Be a man or be a woman. Stop with the, I'm going to submit myself so that, because that's what people are doing. They're literally self-censoring. Fuck that. Terrorism, terrorism, gun, 9mm, 45, assault rifle. Say all the words. Fuck 'em. Just the way it is. How I feel about it, right? I'm sorry, if money means more to you than free speech, then in my opinion that falls right along in line that those who demand security over freedom deserve neither. It's pretty much the same thing. Those that demand compensation for what they say over free speech don't deserve either. Same thing. Same thing. Keep an eye though on this situation with all these investigations, because I think there's going to be something coming of it. I don't think they're going to just be able to walk away. Oh, do they? Based around speech? Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I get it. There's some speech that we should condemn. Violent speech we should condemn. Hateful speech, yeah, we should condemn that. Now, I'm not saying, it's one of those things to where when you make fun of somebody's race, their gender, whatever, I think that's wrong. Should you be allowed to do it? Well, yeah, because that's free speech. That doesn't mean you should do it. Um, me, that like the group that I run for the town here, that's pretty much it. Just no hate speech, don't discriminate, don't, try to be civil with one another. And there's many cases in which people aren't civil with one another. But as long as it's two or more individuals going at each other, I let it go. As long as it don't turn to violent talk or anything like that, I let it go. Why? Free speech. And if one person throws an insult at another person, that person throws an insult back, well, that's between them two. Give them each a handbag and let them beat them up. Or beat it out. Whatever. As long as they don't get violent, as long as they don't go too far, I let it go. That's free speech. Yeah, you're going to find that a lot of places, Hetty Hayes, because people are so scared to death that somebody might say the wrong thing, and oh my God. And, it also depends, too, because you may be under other rules. Even if you're operating a server, if you're running a server, you may still have rules that you have to abide by because you didn't make that game or whatever the case may be. So there may still be things that you have to abide by. Steam has really been cracking down on discriminatory speech and stuff like that. Every so often when I go into like VTOL VR, I gotta click OK on a big box that pops up telling me about, how they're cracking down on speech, essentially. And, I don't feel the need to use discriminatory speech against people or I don't want to talk to people like that to begin with. So I don't got an issue with it. But those are rules set by Steam. And so it doesn't matter if you run a server or anything like that. If you're under Steam's umbrella, so to speak, you have to abide by their rules. And same with any other game. If you run a server, you still have to abide by the rules that the game manufacturer or developer set out. So, Yeah, you're right. People do go way far with it. And I think that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stop saying gay. I'm not going to stop saying retard. Because I don't... If somebody's a homosexual, and I'm speaking directly to them, I'm not a modest person. I'm not going to walk up and say, you're gay, you're queer. Right? I'm more likely to tell my buddy that he's gay. And it isn't because my buddy's gay. It's because of the irony of that is funny. The word retarded's a word. That's all. It's not hate. It's a description. One that at certain times of our lives almost every one of us can take on. I'm just as retarded as the next guy sometimes. It is what it is, But again, if I'm dealing with somebody that has mental limitations, I'm not going to use that word to discriminate against them or use that word as a weapon against them. Because I'm not a modest person like that. So, it is what it is. Oh yeah, there's a lot of words that had to be changed. You weren't old anymore, you were elderly, and then it changed to other things, and it never ends. It never ends. I have never paid attention to them. I've always given them all the middle finger and stuck with whatever language I used to begin with. Because I was taught a long time ago that one thing you don't let anybody do is change your language. Never let anybody change your language, because that turns into indoctrination. So you just make sure you reject it. Yeah, it's not an automobile, it's a car. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff though over the years that they've changed. But anyway, I am gonna hop out of here. I'm surprised I made it this far. I really want to get in that comfy, cozy bed, and I'm hurting. I am sore. I meant to take ibuprofen earlier and forgot, so I'll be taking it now and waiting an hour and a half. Anyway, I am going to get out of here, and we shall see you all tomorrow evening, God willing. Hopefully I got more news stories to cover. I made a video today explaining why I was wrong with my theory on the Learjet incident in Philadelphia. I do not believe that it was a catastrophic engine failure. When I initially spoke about that, I had said that I didn't know if there would be much of a difference because of how close the engines were together. And, yeah, I was correct on that statement. Because those engines are so close to one another, because of just the overall design of the aircraft, you can lose an engine on a Learjet, and it's not a big deal. As long as you still got one engine, it's really not a big deal. So, I'm not sure. I'm thinking either it was a control issue, or it was an avionics issue. Those engines were screaming, though. I mean, that plane, it was almost like it was full throttle into the ground. The engines, I believe, at least one of them was screaming. It could have very well lost avionics, could have very well lost control surfaces. The NTSB's got a hell of a job on their hands, because that aircraft didn't have a flight data recorder on it. It did have a voice cockpit recorder, or a cockpit voice recorder, but it didn't have a flight data recorder. So, there's a good chance that they're gonna get an audible cue as to what was going on, what the pilots were dealing with, meaning, holy shit, I can't see the screens, or something like that. Just like with the situation in D.C. And as far as I know, they didn't release the audio for this, but from my understanding, the CRJ pilot and co-pilot, from my understanding, one of them had kind of said an expletive, and made some kind of a statement at the very, very last moment, indicating that they were, getting hit by another aircraft. But they didn't go into that a whole lot, and I don't believe that they released the audio. So I really do think that when they do recover, hopefully they can recover the audio from the well, I heard the audio from the tower, but I'm talking about the actual cockpit audio. The audio, hopefully they can capture it for the Learjet, because I really do think that there will be something that the pilot said that will really help them in their investigation. Because I'm talking about the cockpit audio. They haven't released that yet. It'll be a good while probably before they release the cockpit audio, if they ever do. But that incident in Philadelphia, man, I shudder to think. I don't even know. I haven't seen anything yet, which doesn't mean nothing. But I haven't seen anything yet as to where or not whether or not they discovered the bodies in Philadelphia or not. I know the last I heard, they were still looking. I don't know if that has ever changed. That's just a heartbreaking. I mean, both incidents are a heartbreaking story, but the one in Philadelphia, I mean, that's so hard to think about, putting yourself in the shoes. You know, your child has an operation, which in itself is just an amazing feat because of Shriners. Shriners does an incredible job. That's who took care of Jen when she was small. Shriners is really incredible. And from my understanding, the operation was a success, and they were on their way back home. And that, I can't even put into words. It's heartbreaking. There was video, and I guess I'll play it before I leave. I'm 52 years old. And I've asked myself throughout my entire life, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And in 52 years, I've never had an answer. Because I've got so many interests, I've got so many curiosities, I never had an answer. Now I do. Unfortunately, it's a little late. So, I would go to work for the NTSB. If I could start over again and choose a career, it would be the NTSB. And the man I'm about to show you and what he had to say is the reason why. If there is anybody that I think is absolutely qualified to do what they're doing, it's this man right here. Name's Todd Inman. And it's a little clip from the other night when he was talking.
Yesterday you talked about spending time with some of the victims' families. Can you describe any sort of update today?
Well, the question's about spending time with the members' families. Yeah, I spent several hours with them today. There's more. There's some new. There's some that have been there for 3 days. There's some that want to give us hugs. There's some that are just mad and angry. They're just all hurt. And they still want answers, and we want to give them answers. And the most devastating thing, I guess, today was they watched the news last night. They know their loved ones were recovered. They're thinking, is it going to take longer? Am I not going to be finding my loved one? How will this affect it? That's hard. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. And no one has to suffer this. So, yeah, it is hard on them. They have a lot of questions. They haven't been through this. Unfortunately, we have a lot of experts. We've done 1,000, but that doesn't mean it's not completely new to them. What's really horrible, though, is that these things are happening. You know, I keep a challenge coin. Whenever I first got to the NTSB, they asked, it's a challenge coin you hand to people as a sign of gratitude and respect. In front of it has the seal and the name. I said, what do you want to put on the back? This was on the front door of our training center where the TW-800 was for many years. From tragedy, we draw knowledge to improve the safety for us all. That's what we're doing right now. We're dealing with tragedy, but we need to improve safety. We need 200 plus recommendations fixed. We need people to take action. Unfortunately, at some point, all of you are going to be gone. We're still going to have the investigation open. We're going to make recommendations. We go to East Palestine, a community that gets devastated. Still nothing's happened. We have several hundred recommendations open for aviation. You want to do something about it? Adopt the recommendation of the NTSB. You'll save lives. Get off and do something. I don't want to have to meet with another set of those parents like that again. Not fair. Could be your family. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it out on you. It's just hard. Sorry. Yeah.
It's hard for me to watch. That is exactly the kind of person that I would want working in that position. Trying to catch up with the chat. Oh, I don't. Again, I as far as what it was, as far as the Learjet, I don't know. I don't think he lost engines. It came down way too fast for them engines not to be running. At least one of them, because it did come down like a missile. He wasn't very high up, so a free fall from 1,600 feet isn't gonna be like that. That was like a missile. He was definitely underpowered by at least one engine, if not both. I don't know. You know, you have to understand that the cloud deck was like 700 feet. So immediately after he got off the runway, it was nothing. I mean, it was like black spray paint on his windshield. You couldn't see anything. So it was completely instrument. I really have a hard time believing. Oh yeah, I have a hard time believing this too. We've got a freaking male mosquito flying around in here. I kid you not. A male mosquito. I'm gonna get the bastard if I can. I guess it came in when Jen's niece and her sister came today, this evening and visited. I guess it came in then, I guess. Frickin' male mosquito. Bastard. Anyway, I don't know if he lost his avionics with as much time and training and all that those folks have to have. I don't think it was just a matter of he didn't know what he was doing. Oh wow, I didn't know you. Yeah, no, that's the first time I've seen one this winter. But oh man, my bet would either be loss of control surfaces or loss of avionics. And I don't know about loss of avionics, and the reason why I say that is because there's backup instruments. So even if he had a nice Garmin 1000 or whatever sitting in front of him, even if that screen went blank, he should have had a backup artificial horizon, which would have prevented him from getting in the wrong attitude and all that. Because you don't know. When you're flying in IFR conditions, you literally can't tell unless you have gauges to go by. That's why you're required to have certain types of gauges to fly IFR. You could be upside down and have no idea you were upside down. Just the nature of the beast. I don't, unless he had a full failure of his avionics system. And again, I almost, hang on. Yeah, sneaky bastard. I almost had him. But he would have had to have lost his backup artificial horizon as well. And I don't know. I mean, is it possible? Well, yeah. I mean, it's possible. Is it likely? Probably not so much. Because, for one, the plane had lights. That was obvious. The plane had lights, so it had electrical power. I am pretty sure your backup instruments aren't on the same breaker as your main avionics. I'm pretty sure that's all separate because that's what it's there for, is to be a redundancy. I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm thinking an issue with control surface. But it's good. The NTSB is going to have their work cut out for them. They really, truly are. I don't know if I'll get schwacked, but I'll play the video. I could get schwacked for it. If I do, I do. Let me make it a little bigger here. I know, that's what she said. Okay. Now, of course, there's different videos, but this is the vantage point to where you can actually see the plane's lights and stuff like that, and you can actually see the plane is actually in a roll as it's coming down, and it's coming down at such a fast speed, and you can hear at least one, if not both engines just screaming, but they don't sound healthy to me. It sounds like one engine's at least having a problem, but again, that wouldn't be enough to have caused this. This is the video. And I'll back it up and I'll play that again, because I know the first time you see something, you kind of got to get your bearings on where you need to look. So it's going to be up in here. You're going to first see the plane. That plane is rolling as it's coming down. And, I mean, like I said, it's coming down at an alarming speed. So, it was certainly under power of at least one engine. For some reason, they were in a roll. And, you know, was that a corrective roll? Yeah, very steep. Very, very steep. That's why it just doesn't make sense, man. And then, you know, you do have to consider other things like, you know, was there a fire inside the cockpit, you know? So stuff like that has to be considered too, and of course we don't know the answers to that. I know some people have made their conspiracy stuff saying, oh, well, it was on fire when it was on its way down. There is no indication that it was on fire when it was on its way down. Not by the videos that we've been given to see. I don't see anything that indicates fire. I do see lights, but not fire. That doesn't mean that the cockpit couldn't have a fire in it, or that the cockpit couldn't be filled with smoke, or a number of other things. So again, NTSB is going to have their work cut out for them, and I really do hope that they are able to extract the data from the voice recorder, because I think that's going to help them a lot in their investigation. If they don't have that voice recorder data, I don't know if they'll ever be able to figure it out, because it was such a high-speed impact and such a violent explosion. I don't know if they'll ever figure it out without that crucial information, because I'm pretty sure the pilots were communicating something back and forth as they were in trouble. The tower tried to reach out to him, and the aircraft did not respond to the tower. Well, that's just because that's the order that you do things. You you aviate, meaning you fly the plane. You aviate, you navigate, and then you communicate. So you got three things, and communication is the last one. First, you got to fly the damn plane, right? Second, you got to know where you're flying the damn plane. And then lastly, you communicate what's going on. But the most important thing is to aviate, to fly the damn plane. That was really beat into me when I was learning to fly ultralights. You know, no matter what. You know, and Keith told me, you know, if you lose your wing, what do you do if you lose your wing? You fly the damn plane. That's the answer. You fly the damn plane. Even if you really can't fly it, you do your damnedest to fly it. Just, you know, there's a lot of times, especially in ultralight aviation, where there might be a little bit of an issue. You might lose rudder control. You might, you know, a lot of cases, your engine. You'll lose an engine. And just like I was instructed, losing an engine in an ultralight shouldn't be anything other than an inconvenience because of their high glide ratio and short landing capability. But every year there are several ultralight and light sport pilots that leave us because they were too damn busy trying to get the plane back started or trying to do this or no, you fly the damn plane. No matter what happens, fly the damn plane. You know, if you got the altitude, you want to give your engine one shot, give it a try, go ahead. As long as you got the altitude and you can do it safely. But number one is you aviate. You fly the damn plane. You know, as I said, three things: aviate, navigate, communicate. Nowhere in there is restart your engine. That's not even in there. Why? Because that's a distraction that will distract you away from aviating. So that's why you focus on that. You know, when Todd Inman says that, you know, we learn through tragedy, and we use that information that we learn, and I'm not, you know, verbatim here, but paraphrasing, but we use that for education, for safety. He's right. Absolutely right. And that's why there's a bunch of cute little sayings and stuff like that that they have you memorize. I'm, of course, drawing a blank and can't think of a damn one of them. I mean, actually, aviate, navigate, communicate, that's actually one of them. But there's other cute little sayings, cutesy little sayings. And I just can't, I'm drawing a blank trying to think of one. But there's several of them that you use just to kind of remember things. To help you remember things. And that was done through years of failure and tragedy. People came up with these things in order to help pilots remember. It's important stuff. Anyway, I'm like in overtime, and I'm tired and I'm sore. Oh yeah, 1,600 feet, man, that's not, and when you can't see anything out your window, that is, that's rough, man. There's not a lot of time, there's not a lot of nothing. But, anyway, I am out of here, folks. I will see you tomorrow evening, and, God willing that is. Hope you all have a good night. As always, shalom.